Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend vid. Start with the indexes. SPY. So we're going to see SPY last week. Obviously, I got some pivots on my chart. But SPY last week, you're going to note hammer day forming the close. Now, we did have a simultaneous week reversal, which tells us simultaneously they came in and sold the SPY, the Qs, Dow, IBM all at the same time last week, which is something we were very attuned to because it told us SPY was going to take this out, which it did to the penny, and then there's profit taking. Did the profit taking change the color of the month? It did not. Now, where's the quarter open? Right, is another question. And the quarterly open is right back in here in October. So right now it is green. It was not this weekly open. I believe it was like a little bit lower. But the quarterly open is still green at this point. Are we going to change the quarter or not? That's what's going to determine, is this going to be a bear market or not? What I can tell you is when simultaneous breaks occur, statistically, it's less likely to reverse. So anyone that's trying to buy this early in the week next week, it could just go whammo and take all of them out to the downside really quick. Likely on a gap is how we tend to see that happen. So something like this next week is a possibility where, we open, make a little bit of highs and then go back down, or even a gap down to start off the week. We'll have to see. The only thing that the buyers have to try and make this recover is a hammer day. So if this hammer day reverses last week's highs, which is way up in here, you can see 68593, then the buyers completely blow out the shorts and the short trade is not happening. If this hammer day does not work, right, outside bar or inside bar down would take this out, continuation, take this out as a monthly reversal, and now we have a monthly reversal with the quarter down and a pivot machine gun. So we're watching last month's lows. We're going to see how we open next week and if those hammer days kick in. And we're going to be prepared both ways because, it could take last month's lows. It also might not. And that's fine. Now, as far as your broadening formations are concerned, your quarterly level is right here. We're about $3.60 above it. So you can see it's like right around 66765, right? So below that, that's when you have trouble. If you go to the Qs, still above that, but it's going to look the exact same. When volatility increases, the market looks similar. So you're going to see hammer day Qs for Monday, Dow Jones hammer day, IBM hammer day. So it's like going into tomorrow, going into the next week, we do have a lot of bullish setups. It's just a matter of, do those work, or do we get a reversal on Tuesday to bring those back in after failing to change the week and the monthly continuity levels? Or actually cause a week reversal and change the month continuity levels. Sorry, I feel like I'm tripping over my words here. That being said, though, we do have signals both up and down that we are interested in, so stick around. So if we go into our StratAlerts.ai, what we want to look for is things green on the week. So 2 down and green, what does this tell us? Well, these 160 names close stronger than the SPY and Qs. So if they do open firm Monday, 160 names here, all the shorts in these names may be forced to close. Now, if we go to inside, these inside bars are stronger than the rest of the market. So if we're going to buy, it would be these guys. And if we're going to continue down in the rest of the market, the SPY and the Qs, these inside bars will present short opportunities to the downside. We'd also find outside bars, especially the green ones on a weekly basis, would be where the aggressive buying occurred, the aggressive counter of a sell. So if we just go like CENX, for example, it's like, did they sell it in here and in here these 2 weeks? Yes. Did they sell it prior to the SPY coming in? Yes. Did they get blown out of their short almost completely? Also yes. So this buyer in here is a little more aggressive than the sellers, and you'll see gap down buy on earnings, boom, blown out of their short. So we'll see if those trapped sellers have more to cover. If we go to something like SU, same thing, right? Did they sell it in here, last week? Yes. And then did they sell it at the beginning of last week? Yes. And then 3, boom, blows all of those guys out, right? And this is why it's important to see this stuff. You can see where those shorts are trapped. Same with IMAX, right? And we could go down the list. Now, we will get to that in a second. Before we do, let's dive in and take a look at the sectors. So if we look at the sector on a weekly basis here, we're going to see energies 3 to the upside. So anyone shorting energies completely blown out to the upside. While the market puked, OIH inside week, XOP 1-3 to the upside. High watch, right? OIH would trigger a 3-2 month. The energies have monthly signals that they could break as well. They have a little bit more distance on XOP, but energies, that's something we're watching. If we go to staples, hammer, right? So closing green, it's closer to reversal to start off the next week. Real estates, 2 down in green, closer to reversing to start off the next week. So these are the guys we'd want to go after to the upside. And I also can't forget healthcares, right? The whole market goes down reversal for the most part. Healthcares go inside. So anyone shorting healthcares, they're in trouble potentially. You'll also see regional banks 1 week. So if that were to continue, contraction, expansion, contraction, the next thing would be expansion. The question becomes with our mother bar here, you see this weekly high and low we're stuck inside of here, 5755, and then whatever's up here, 64. The question is, do we take that out or not? And then we'll see gold inside week while the market pukes after a big 3. So if this kicks in the other way, where's gold going? All-time highs again, right? GDX inside week while the market pukes. GDXJ, hammer week while the market pukes. Materials, hammer week while the market pukes. You'll also see Apple inside week. So notice, right? Anything that doesn't look like indexes we want to know about because it's signs of an institutional accumulation, or at the very least, it's signs that there are buyers there or the sellers are just really weak, right? With those buyers present. That being said, that's where we want to be next week. So all your gold, your silver, your miners, we're going to want to be in your real estates. You're going to want to be in your energies. You're going to want to be in your airlines, regional banks, staples, and healthcares. And that's where we'd want to focus. That is not to say tech and semis can't firm up, as they have been really strong. They just are, nowhere near becoming a 2. So if you're going to buy the tech and semis, and everyone's looking at these leaders, right? The whole market's going up. There's these things up 1,000% on the year, and they're like, I really want to buy that one. It's like, it better still be going up, right? If it looks anything like the SPY and Qs, if we go to like Oklo on the weekly, right? You better reverse that. You're nowhere near taking last week's highs on Oklo. So you better be buying things that are not still shorts at this point. Hopefully that makes sense for those not, accustomed to the strat. That being said, we also have shooter on the VIX. So we will leave it at that. And the dollar, Dixie, might also go to 2-week reversal, which is relevant. And the reason it's relevant is because Dixie, you'll see the monthly broadening formation. We had a scenario 3 here. They test the highs, they test the lows. Now they're testing the highs. So what's happening? If this goes weekly reversal, Dixie should trade down into here, 97144. And the reason that is because you have pivot machine gun, and notice the yearly seller. So if the month and quarter are red, the yearly seller is definitely going to be involved there. So let's post that here. Or the tweets. That being said, let's go and hit the scans. We know what to look for, and I'm going to make sure I have those on my upper screen. So let's take a look now first. We go 1-3 week because I'm interested in those energy names. So if we go to the energies, we got some stuff we've already been discussing. VLO, 1-3 week. So can we take out the highs of that? 179.02. And inside day signal, is that going to go rev strat up, inside bar up, or is that going to go inside down back through the range to the downside? You'll see energies, right? Closing at the highs, XOP closing at the highs, OIH hammer day. So that's something we want to know about OIH. We go to UCO in the energies, which will be your US oil. US oil, you will see inside week down, doesn't go anywhere. Now they're going to try and test the other side. So inside day oil, this is relevant for Monday's trading session. You'll have targets up in here at 61.10. And if successful, up in here, 67, 70, and maybe all the way up 78. Right, we got a pretty big range we're working with if it kicks in. And this monthly right here, we want to be above that is the goal. If we go to MPC, MPC will be a hammer. And what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to separate it by sector because it seems to make the most sense. And we do these live. So if you're just checking us out and you're like, wow, this guy's got a lot of stuff he's talking about. We always do it live. There's a rhythm to it. So if you watch other videos, you will get to it. So the gist. Market reversed, spike, QQQ, hammer days, all indexes. Do they attempt to recover? Ideally, by things taking last week's highs. If so, looking for inside signals, 3-2 up signals, Hammer, two down, green signals up if buy. Ideally above the quarter month opens. If selling, looking for anything taking last month's lows and last week's lows. So you can see we can quickly define what a buy and a sell looks like just for you guys here. Now let's get to it. So if we go to energies, XOP, OIH, we got XLE, XOP, 1, 3, 2 up, and then we have OIH, 2, 1, 2 up, 3, 2 up, 1. This tells you to look at VLO, MPC, and we'll get some more. So MPC hammer week, that's something we want to know about. VLO, we got that as well. I do have one. Was it MPC? Yeah, so it's MPC on the gappers. TTE from our weekend vid or monthly vid. And give me 1 second. You will have, let's see, double inside week dyno, and you can see this one is racing back through the broadening formation. Where's it trying to go? Technically to 83.39, and then short term 66. So 54 to 66, it's 21%. You got pivot, pivot, and then a wide gap, and then pivot, pivot. So we like dyno. See, LEU, you can see much weaker, but if energies start recovering, they might. We got the solars as well. So FSLR is almost back to all-time highs. We already discussed MPC. Yeah, a lot more energies, right? CCJ in the uraniums inside week. So while the market pukes, it did hold with the 2-2-day setup. We will make sure that's in uraniums. Oklo as well. And the key with this is, right, these daily reversals, they might not do anything. They also might completely recover in a couple days. So we're not scared of being wrong if they recover or don't recover. What we're scared of is, missing it. We want to know if they are recovering or not, and then play that accordingly with our stops and whatnot. TRGP leader in energies. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry about that. So we like this one because if we look at that, you can see the mother bar reclaim. So you see, when we look at this, you have the reversal here, reclaiming this range up into 206, which would be a 21% gain. TRGP could be a 21% gain. Not bad. Bang, RevStrat. So you can see Fang in here, RevStrat off the bottom of the broadening formation, which could break, triggering a breakout, because you'll notice we're completely stuck in the middle here, and we keep zooming out. This stuck inside of everything left right here. So maybe Fang recovers. What would that do? Inside quarter break, right? So that could happen with an outside month for sure if that breaks. Siskiyou, you can see in the solars just ripping back through the range. So Siskiyou, you might be like, oh, I missed it. No, we know where that buyer's going. That buyer is going for it, right? All right. More energies. NXT. It's one of the biggest gainers in here in the energies. What I want to do in here is show the gainers and the energies as well. CRK could be an example of like a historical comeback. CRK looks nuts if it does start recovering fully. That's crazy stuff. It's got the 3 to work with. Oh yeah, CRK is definitely going up there, 35%. Is that enough to really send them flying though? Maybe. But let's go back to the gainers. Got a lot of weeklies. APA in the energies. OKE, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to give you guys too many names to look at. I've already listed off most of the ones that we are normally interested in. As far as continuations go, SysQ is definitely one to know about. If we go to CTRA last week, definitely one to know about. And these are technically energies. Some are solar, some aren't. But CTRA looks awesome. You know, if they could go another 60%, that'd be cool. And then we have a lot of names I'm not super familiar with. NXT is one of those. DK is one of those. SEI is one of those. These all have setups. So it's just, man, we could just have insane movement to start next week. It's going to be something. CCJ is up there. So it's like your uranium type energy names, as well as some other solar stuff. CDG, for an example. Run. So some of your, standard solar companies that used to be somebody's back in the COVID days. But that's what we see in the energies. Okay. Now let's go to the gold guys. We already know, right? Gold, silver, GDX, GDXJ. I really don't get too specific with the gold guys. If you want to, do that yourself. Just because it takes a long time. There's a lot of miners, a lot of those guys that you can track, or you can just play JNUG, right? It's just easy stuff, or GDXJ, easy stuff. Let's see. All right. We will also then have financials. So in the gainers is LMND, which is another good investor name to know about, similar to SysQ, right? It's been to 188. It's trading 75. So you still have 150% of potential magnitude to the upside. Sorry about that. BHF financials, another one that's up a good bit this quarter. Breakout. I've never seen that. Yeah, so not a name we're interested in. VIST this quarter. No idea. Right? No idea what they do. CMA. More familiar name here. Does take the year up to end off the year, but they're still inside months. So, SoFi a little bit better. Up at all-time highs now at this point, but you have signals in there back to all-time highs. And they are a good company as far as I understand. You'll have your main culprits in there. So banks, right? GS, JPM. You can see GS, the daily triangle right in here, the hammer. JP Morgan, the hammer. If we go to what I'm more interested in those financials, it's this right here. So we discussed this on Turnaround Tuesday, the hammer day progressive, right? Boom, you're in 5%. Now, what does it do? Sets up the 2-2 week, right? And insurance companies ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So they just got to figure out how to make more money, right? Bottom of the broad information with full time frame continuity, as you'll see here, the week, the month, those guys are green, which gives you full time frame continuity with the 2-2 week. We got Allstate, same exact deal, except it was an outside bar, and it's from the same nightly vid we called out Progressive as a buy. So Allstate, it's got a little bit more room. What we would say is if they do buy all the insurers, Allstate could be stronger as it's closer to taking out all those short guys. And then if we go to Aflac, they had earnings. So Aflac, they're already taking out all the shorts in those insurers. And those are really the only ones I look at. Let's see. Yeah, but the financials all have outside day or outside weeks. All the standard banks. All right. Sorry, this is taking a little bit. It's just we got a lot to discuss since the market's moving. If we go to, we got Energy's financials done. If we go to the airlines, simple enough. United Airlines, American Airlines, right? All these guys, you got bad news with the government shutdown and whatnot, but they are firm. So we will see. You got inside month American Airlines with the 2-2 week to cause it. And that could even be gap up sell, right? If the government shutdown stuff is worse. Like that American Airlines setup, especially for smaller count guys. But United Airlines, if we go to Delta Airlines, very similar. All right. Healthcares. So healthcares is mostly due to your LLY being firmer. Could you be watching that for a rev start day? Of course. And if you've been with us for a while, we called this weekly signal here, which created this pivot. And you'll see the 3, 2, 2, 2 to the upside creates this. 2, 2, 1, 2 reversal creates this. So the up and off away they went from our bottom call at the broad information. If we go to healthcares, there is some specific leaders in here. GMed, for example, going up to all-time highs on a gap. Must have really blown out those earnings. Let's see. 50% surprise. That's pretty impressive, huh? They didn't even change their revenue that much. Interesting. Prax. This is one that's really up on the quarter, and we've had some corrective activity here. So if you look at it, bottom of this broad information hammer day, maybe Prax gets some going again. RNA, another just gap and sit. SPRB finally starts recovering a little bit. Has a 2-2 week, so you can see, look at this, you're like, it's mother of our problems. Like, well, maybe 46%. That's a range. All right. Oh, SPRB is inside. Okay, cool. Sorry, taking me a second just to get around the scanner here. RNA inside as well. GH, not an inside. VKTX. Still an inside year. It is one of the leaders in here. TVTX. Already pretty much completed its quarterly triangle. You can see this nice hammer quarter just destroying the market here. It's beautiful. SYRE. Ooh, interesting one for the small account lotto guys. Hammer day in here. And broadening formation, if successful, up to 42, right? If they really start taking off through this range, which so far they have this quarter. Growl. Slight lower low. We'll see this quarter, this year. Yeah, that's a buy. So Growl 322 day would be considered a buy with the quarter year. And then maybe we can change the month and week with the 2-2. So you'd have the week, the day, 60, quarter, year for evidence to override the month. That works. Strongest names, NTRA. Would be momentum on the daily. With momentum hammer week. No idea what VRDN does, but they are moving as well this quarter. You see on the weekly broadening formation, they are right at the tippy top. And the cool thing on the weekly is you can see how the algo is just automatically identifying those big levels as well as the smaller ones in here, which is just really cool. PTGX, you'll notice, just would be momentum right to the highs versus when we had a target. Ooh, CDTX, that's a very interesting one as well. We'll add it in. All right, so that's the healthcares. Man, we're just gonna be a long vid. Sorry, guys. Let me know. Do you mind if it's longer? Hopefully we're really close to done. Okay, staples. This is one I'm very, very excited about too. So in markets, more in turmoil, so to speak, they tend to go towards the staples. Now, that does not mean they have to. They could just sell everything. You'll see though, this hammer week, right? We're looking at the charts, they're static. This hammer week, if it were to break, we're at the bottom of what? A range that's 4%. It's also potentially 10%, right? So if you're going to have a range that looks like this, right, where you have this short signal and it's all the way down here, 8% down, it's going to look like this first, right? It's going to form the signal and then something happens. And if you remember, we actually called this for you guys. If you go check our weekend vid when that was posted, or when that candle formed in August. That being said, though, Philip Morris, I really like that. Notice this 2-2 and then pivot machine gun. And the earnings did come out. Earnings were good, so they just went down because the market went down. So they should go right back to the highs. I'm thinking all-time highs. And I really like that idea. The other thing I really like, and I'll try and show you here, is when we look at charts and we see pivot machine guns, for example, we can time that PMG and we can say, okay, well, this move is likely to happen quick. So we can go shorter term. We can also go midterm, right? Like end of November and go like this. Say, okay, end of November, 160 calls, pretty much trading at nothing, right? The 165s, maybe you could pick them off for 40 cents, but 160 calls a buck. So if we look at PM, if this works, how easy is it to get to 160 right now? Like hella easy, right? 2 week, 160, it's right here. Right? It could do that in a day. So yeah, I want to know about it because guess what? What if it goes to here, 170, 175? We take these guys out. If we do that quick, which pivots, this pivot, this, all these guys, giving us that, we will see these options. If we go back, these options for the end of November, which have, just under 20 days left, for a buck, they could be worth 10 really, really fast. So we like that if it kicks in and it stays true. If it doesn't, you buy it for $1.30, you sell it for $1.10 and lose $20, whatever. But we like that. MO, we're gonna see the lower lows, reversal. Could also do a Philip Morris. Now earnings here, not as good as PM. You'll see they lost a little bit, but nothing really changed. So they're just down. Staples is down as well. Coke has been operating at a loss, supposedly. I have no idea. But you'll see the potential for a 2-tier reversal week with Pepsi, not so much. Keurig Dr. Pepper, not so much. Coke's kind of still taking over these guys, which also tells us we just have less evidence, right? They're not buying all of them. We like when they're buying everything. That being said, the last sector here, I'm just going to be looking at PM and the staples. Last sector here that I'm interested in is going to be, transports, industrials, which I just don't have the time to just jam through these guys, but I'll try my best to just quickly get you here. And then materials. So industrials, just go in here. We'll look for what industrials RA1. Actually didn't have them here. So go to the week, 2-tier reversal, maybe John Deere, maybe Cat inside week. Cat is what you'd want to be buying. Tractor Supply Co. Hammer Week, RevStrat 3122. Probably want to go after that too. All right. And then obviously airlines and stuff are all part of the industrials. Waste management is a really good one I like to know about. And you can see, right, we can gauge the magnitude, and that's why we pick certain things over others, right? If this works, 202 to 237, and garbage is not going away, right? So they can just raise their prices and they'll probably make more money. I'm not sure exactly why they lost on earnings, but just really, really simple. We just want to base it on price action. And if you want to think about it, you can think about it with other stuff. Right? But if you see a reversal in Google, it's like, is Google going anywhere? Probably not. Right? JBHT, it's an interesting one, but it's just continuation. MIR up in here, but that's about it. Nothing too interesting. Okay. That's fine. All right, materials. I suck at this one, so just forgive me. Now, since the scanner does all the heavy lifting, I'm going to let it because I don't know material sector. Normally I can just peel through the charts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. We can go in here and I want to look at materials. I suck at this. I don't know any of these names besides like DuPont and MP and ALB Tech. Right, so I've seen some of them before, but I have no idea. The first thing is we want the strongest ones, ideally. You see this quarter, there's not that many strong names, but what we can do is still just copy this list. And since there's actually not that many strong names, I'll just kind of take a glance. NUE, STLD, CMC, SEE, so like some of these guys, and then ALB. That's more interesting. I've seen these names before, as well as SICO, CCO. Let's go to the weekly then. Who is going up? So if materials are going to recover, these guys would continue. All right, ESI, meh. NEM, interesting. CCK. Maybe. Octo, maybe. So really, meh, right? What I'm more interested in is MP. All right. That being said, okay, let's now take a look at the things two down hammer. So we're going to see, no surprise, Royal Gold, which is more of your precious metals, but has the hammer back into last month's outside month. So this, right? You could be looking at that. Not sure what those options are at. Let's take a look. And by the way, this is what I used to do. I used to get on here and I'd spend 4 hours looking for setups and calculating the options. Let's just say we go, end of December, end of the year. December, you can see wow. Why is it showing an 11 call? What's going on here? Oh, okay, weird. But if we go to Royal Gold and we take a look, then the magnitude would be up into 210. So what we'd want to look at, it's like your 180s, right? You can see they're pricing in about $10 a move nearly, right, with the spreads. So maybe, right? They're kind of pricing it in. Gold and silver and other miners probably your better bet, but you could be watching it. We go to IP. Oh, that's a big range, right? Now, when you have big ranges, you also have red continuity, but that's only true depending on when stuff happens. If this goes reversal, it happens second week of the month. Potential 3 down, 3 up IP, right? And I have no idea what these guys do. I don't know if their earnings is like, oh, we're just going to go out of business. Couldn't tell you. But what I can tell you is that it's a signal. ALB, right? This is what I'm actually most interested in along with MP, because they're in that kind of precious or like whatever the materials they need for batteries and whatnot. I forget but rare earth. There you go. So I really like ALB because if we look at this, if we're partnering with the US government and, it could go a lot higher, right? And they're also printing money. So got to put your money somewhere. So why wouldn't you put it in companies partnered with the US, right? I apologize if my mic has sounded a little far away this whole time. Then you'll have leadership, SCCO. You'll also see CMC in here. All right, coolio. That being said, we got the materials. Is there anything else I'm missing? I know we could do a deeper dive in those energies, but I don't want to take everyone's time up. I just feel so bad. That's why I normally record these beforehand. That being said, hopefully you guys have received some value from this. Just let me know. That being said, here is everything that we discussed. And yes, it's a lot. No, you don't have to watch everything. If you put just take the list with the stars, right? Just take that. You don't have to watch everything. Just look for that, right? And there it is. Now you have some focus. Or just watch the sectors, right? And if you see a specific sector start moving, go to the list and be like, yeah, I want to look at these guys then, right? And then in the pre-market tomorrow, if things are gapping down, we'd want to go after the bearish names, which I did not get to cover yet. So I'm going to drag you in a little bit, just a little bit longer. So hopefully you don't mind, but it's any of the stuff we discussed last week, right? So you can go rewatch those videos and find those names, but things like Meta. And if we go to the quarter, biggest losers on the quarter. Duolingo taking last quarter's lows, right? Racked, just destroyed. Now it did gap down on earnings, so we'll see if that's exhausted or not. But they're just getting destroyed. Look at this seller in here. They came in prior to earnings, dump. Earnings come out, they're just still selling. We'd like to see that continue. You can see LRN also demolished on earnings, right? Anyone long in here, now they're questioning their life. And they're just completely questioning everything. Could it go lower? Absolutely. We go to the quarter. You'll see we had our quarterly top of the range with the reversal here, and then boom, right to the bottom. You can't make this shit up, guys. You just can't. Look at this. You cannot make it up. Top of the range, 3, 2 up, 2 up. It's just expanding the 3, and then reversal back into the 3. Boom, just destroyed. Right? Obviously, there's a gap, but that's actual price action that did happen. We got an upstart. Right, 3-2 quarter down. You'll see things like the cruise lines, 2 quarter down, NCLH, RCL, CCL, these type of guys. So these are all the places we'd prefer to be short with last quarter's lows. We go to MicroStrategy, a little different, and that's one thing I don't want to miss. So I apologize, guys. I'm just keeping you way longer than I expect. But the Bitcoiners, you are taking out some pretty key levels, pretty big important levels here. So the question is, do we reclaim the broad information or not, MicroStrategy? And if they don't, this thing's going out of business because they are leveraged to the tits, right? So this is the short if Bitcoin starts getting killed. It's also the leveraged long if Bitcoin does not get killed, where you might just blow out everyone shorting MicroStrategy because there's a lot of guys that shorted this, right? It went 50% down. There is short selling for sure. So if things change, that's something we want to know. Bitcoin. Right? When are things changing on Bitcoin? Right here. Lower lows. You'll see it's all these lows on the left. I like to draw it like this. Changes to green week. So right now the green week is evidence that it could go higher. Now it needs to reverse. So if this is going to recover Bitcoin, right? XRP. We obviously did have some moves. If you recall, we were bullish XRP, very bullish on the reclaim of this. We were bullish on the reclaim of this. We were bullish into all-time highs. Then once it came back in, we were like, okay, now profit taking. And the profit taking does not let up, right? Weekly guys, and then they came back, weekly guys selling, and then month, quarter, year, or month, quarter, week guys sold in here, so it's a bigger move. And then they've just kind of been sitting. So this 2 week in XRP, that could change things. If you look at Bitcoin, if you're a crypto trader, what you'd want to do is go on your crypto scanner and say, who's taking out last week's highs, because that's going to tell you who to buy in the crypto space. And that's what we'll do once the market opens up. We will just look at the ETFs instead of cryptocurrencies themselves. But we will add that in to the bottom. We also go to coin. Sorry, I'm typing this out. We also go to coin, right? Bottom of the range right here. And you can see how this is slightly lower than these guys. If we gauge the size of the range, right? The compound range is right here, the green or the orange, I mean. We also had the previous range we were stuck within. So this is the current biggest broad information. So the question is, right, do they recover? And that could happen on Monday with daily reversals, or it may not if the weekly does not get rejected back to the upside next week. We'll also see HIMS. Everyone's really bullish on this name, but 2 quarter down, RevStrat month down. All right. Let's also take a look at the month and see if we're missing anyone there either. Elf on earnings just demolished. A lot of this consumer spending just kind of coming back to the downside. You see a lot of these names getting wrecked. Celsius outside quarter, so this is something we're interested in as a dip buy if we see any recovery back in here. Like this. CoreWeave, the 2-2 month down. Got some magnitude still on that, 104 to 84. I'm interested in CRCL on the quarter if it changes color for the upside. If not, then it's a bearish name. All right, I think that's going to call it here. Sorry, guys, just so much to cover. But here's your downside names. Here's your sectors for the upside, and you should be able to get a screenshot if you're going to do that. But adios, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed our really long vid today, and I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. And if you're just skipping to the end, obviously, here's your list. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed, and good night.